It's Super Bowl Sunday. A few years ago, I read that there was this research center in Washington, D.C., researching religion in the United States, and they discovered that 1/3 of the people that they polled believed that God plays a role, God influences who wins the Super Bowl. And not only that, more than half believe that God rewards individual players based on their merits. If they're good, if they're faithful, then they're going to be rewarded with a good game. A friend this week, a colleague, a priest, reached out to me. He reached out to me and said, "Who do I think is going to win the game?" And I wrote back, I said, "Look, it's not about for us, it's not about who has the better quarterback or the better coach or the better wide receivers or running backs. It's about who has the best team chaplain, who has the best prayers that are being offered on behalf of the team." And what this all goes to, kind of the religious belief, is that of hashgacha pratit, that God plays an active role in our lives. And we all experience these moments of hashgacha pratit in our own ways, of things happening to us, of our experiences that perhaps open a window or shine a light on the fact that we're not doing all of this alone by ourselves. A number of years ago, I experienced something like this, the belief that things happen for a reason. I was walking on a late afternoon. It was this time of year. It was actually Parshat Yitro, and I was walking in Jerusalem. I was fortunate enough to be there, and was walking past a shul in the Mea Sharim neighborhood, and somebody reached out and said, have you davened mincha yet? Which I hadn't. And it pulled me in and said, would you join our minyan? And I do believe that I'm there in that moment for a reason, and that person reaches out to me for a reason, and I was the 10th person in that minyan for a reason. And after davening, the same person thanked me. He said, "I know how I'm going to thank you for helping us make our minyan." I said, "Oh, how are you going to thank me?" He said, "I'm going to learn with you. We're going to learn some Torah together." So what an opportunity. So we sat down in the little Beit Midrash. He pulled out a book called Zera Kodesh, which was of the Rupshitzer, of Naftali Merupshitz, who was born in 1760. Actually, he was born, according to the tradition, he was born the exact same day that the great Baal Shem Tov passed away. And he was seen as the leader of that next wave of Hasidic leadership, of Naftali Merupshitz. And so he wrote on our parasha. He wrote on Parashat Yitro, which opens with the concept Vayishma Yitro, that Yitro heard all that God had done for the Jewish people. What did Yitro hear? As Rashi says, quoting the Midrash, Yitro heard about the great miracles, about the war with Amalek, about the splitting of the sea. And just 8 verses later, we see not only that Yitro heard, but it says Vayisaper Moshe, that Moshe then tells Yitro about all of the great things that God did for the Jewish people. Well, here's the question. If Yitro heard, if Yitro knew already, why did Moses need to tell him those very same things? And the answer is because there are things that we know, and then there are things that we know really well. There are things that we internalize. There are things that we understand. Why? Because we repeat them over and over again, because we are told them, they are told to us, and we tell them to others. And these are the truths of our lives. These are the values of our lives that we live with and we hold on to. And they're not things that we've understood as young children and then simply keep hidden somewhere. We have to articulate, have to say again and again the things that we believe for ourselves, for our families, for our community. They have to be said again and again and again. The core of our teaching is called the Mishnah. And Mishnah comes from the same Hebrew word that gives us the word for second, for sheni. And the word vishinantam levanecha in the Shema, you shall teach your children. It's a word that means repetition over and over and over again, because that's how Jewish learning is done. And so I, on this day, go back to that moment years ago in which I learned that great teaching of Yitro and Moshe, that sometimes we have to say things that we know and that other people know in order to make them true and in order to internalize them, in order to make them part of who we are as human beings and as Jews. And that's the teaching I want to share with you in preparation for this beautiful Shabbat of Yitro, in which we once again, for many times a year, we read this in the book of Shmot, we read the 10 Commandments. In the book of Devarim, we read the 10 Commandments. On Shavuot, we read the 10 Commandments. We come back to these values again and again and again. Yes, we know them. Yes, we've been taught them. Yes, we've learned them before. But we can't let them recede to the back of our memories or to our personalities or characteristics. We keep our values front and center as part of who we are. Stay healthy and well, everyone, and I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom.
וידבר אלוהים את כל הדברים האלה לאמור, אנוכי אדוני אלוהיך, אשר הוצאתיך מארץ מצרים מבית עבדים. לא יהיה לך אלוהים אחרים על פניי. לא תעשה לך פסל וכל תמונה אשר בשמיים ממעל ואשר בארץ מתחת ואשר במים מתחת לארץ. לא תשתחווה להם ולא תעבדם, כי אנוכי אדוני אלוהיך אלקנה פוקד עוון אבות על בנים, על שילשים ועל רבעים לשונאי, ועושה חסד לאלפים, לאוהבי ולשומרי מצוותי. לא תישא את שם אדוני אלוהיך לשווא, כי לא ינקה אדוני את אשר יישא את שמו לשווא. זכור את יום השבת לקדשו, 6 ימים תעבוד, ועשית כל מלאכתך, ביום השביעי שבת לאדוני אלוהיך. לא תעשה כל מלאכה, אתה ובנך וביתך, עבדך ואמתך ובהמתך, וגרך אשר בשעריך, כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, את הים ואת כל אשר בהם, וינח ביום השביעי. על כן ברך אדוני את יום השבת ויקדשהו. כבד את אביך ואת אמך, למען יאריכון ימיך על האדמה אשר אדוני אלוהיך נותן לך. לא תרצח, לא תנאף, לא תגנוב, לא תענה ורעך עד שקר, לא תחמוד בית רעך, לא תחמוד אשת רעך, ועבדו ואמתו ושורו וחמורו וכל אשר לרעך.